Hey guys, it's good to see you again. Welcome back to another As Per My Ability video. My name is Andrew Davidson. If you like As Per My Ability, if you like our content, if you like our videos, if you like board games in general, please do us a favor, comment, like, subscribe, do all that fun YouTube stuff. We appreciate everything that you guys do for us here on the channel. Today's video, we're going to be jumping back into the Prospero Hall Disney amalgamation because today we're talking about Villainous. Hey, welcome back everybody. Today we're going to be talking about Prospero Hall, Disney, and a game called Villainous. Now I know what a lot of you are thinking. Villainous is an older game. I'm probably about 2 years late to the game on this game, pun intended. But it is a Prospero Hall game. So I wanted to put it on the list. For those of you that know or don't know, I've been doing kind of a series on Prospero Hall games. And so it's on the list, so I had to make a video about it. In Disney's Villainous, players will be taking on the role of a villain from a popular Disney animated movie. For example, you have like Scar from The Lion King, Ursula from The Little Mermaid, Prince John from Robin Hood, and so on and so forth. You will be playing as the villain of your choice, I suppose, and the game is what gamers call asymmetric, meaning that there's differences between all the players, which I will talk about more in a second, but that's really the big selling point for Villainous, other than the Disney IP, which is kind of cool, actually. Playing as the villains in all these different movies, I think it's kind of cool. But anyways, we'll get more to that after I talk about the game and kind of expose you to the asynchronous or asymmetrical aspect to the game. So let's talk about that first, and then we'll come back and talk more about what I think of the game. Welcome to Disney Villainous, the worst takes it all. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just kind of show you how to get started with the game, talk very little about the gameplay itself, because Disney's Villainous is actually a very asymmetrical game, meaning that this is not a rules guide, this isn't how it's going to be played, because every single villain that you play inside of this box is going to play differently. They're going to have different objectives, they're going to have different cards, they're going to have different... Well, let me show you. So here's the box. The first thing that you're going to want to do is pick who you want to be, what villain you want to be. So I'm going to be using Little John as my example here. And you do get a villain guide, which is kind of cool. Everyone has a little booklet, or every villain has their own little booklet that shows you kind of how this villain works, or how to play their cards, what to focus on, when's the right time to use these cards, which cards kind of like are synergistic with other cards. So this is really cool for first-time players of either the game or just this villain, and so that's really cool. So you'll want to take one of these. Then next thing you will do is you will take the board for the person. This crown gives me a feeling of power. And so here's Prince John, and Prince John's objective is to start your turn with at least 20 power. Now again, I'm going to be saying this is an asymmetrical game, so this is how Prince John wins the game. The other villains in the game have completely different win conditions, okay? And so then you'll open up your board, you'll place it out. You'll also have, let me put this out here, a little cool, like it's plastic, stand of power tokens. Power tokens are essentially the currency in the game of how you do things, how you activate cards, and how you play cards. And so you will have your board in front of you. I'll place that down. Then you also have kind of a translucent miniature that'll represent who you are, and you always start on the left-hand spot. Next, you will have, and like I said, every villain has their own unique set. So this is especially for Prince John. You can kind of tell from the color scheme, and if not, it says Prince John at the bottom. Everyone in the box, Jafar, Ursula, Maleficent, I can't say her name, they all have their own unique deck. This is the deck that you will be playing with. The artwork is awesome, and these are the cards that you will be playing to try to advance your agenda. You will also have these kind of fate cards. These are nasty cards where heroes will show up to kind of slow you down, and other players will be drawing from this deck when they try to quote-unquote attack you or slow you down. So you will be placing those over here. Well, you'll shuffle them. You'll shuffle these as well. This is my universal sign for shuffling without doing it, and you'll place it over these over here. So you have a draw pile, and then you also have your fate deck. So when someone does a fate card, they will take two, they will look at them, and then they'll decide where to place them. And when let's move this, when they place them, they block off some of the abilities, which we'll talk about in a second. And so, like, if there's a guy here, or if there's like someone here, they're blocking off some of the abilities when you go. On your turn, at the start of your turn, for the most part, you are going to take your, I don't know, little like plastic miniature, and you're going to move it to a separate spot. Now, you cannot pick it up and put it down on the same spot, so you can never take the same action, so to speak, twice. So you would have to at least move it here, and then the next time it comes around to my turn, then I could move it back. So when you go to a spot here, you get to take all of the exposed icons, and like I said, some of the cards will cover up some of the icons, basically limiting what you can do. So you will place your thing here, and then you will do all of the actions. And so you can see the different actions that they have for the different spots. This one has no top, so like if a bad, well, I guess you would say it's a good guy. If a good guy shows up, it doesn't block anything off for Prince John. And then on the bottom, he has that, it's the jail, Nottingham, the church, things like that. Everyone is given a reference card, basically the villain objective. So these are all the villains in the base game, and it tells you what their win conditions are in case if you're playing with a lot of people. This game plays from 2 to 6, so you could have 6 people at the table, and you're trying to keep track of what everyone's win condition is and how their game works and their deck works. Everyone will get a reference card to kind of remind you how they win the game. But more importantly, it gives you all of the action symbols, and the action symbols are the ones I just kind of showed you on here. So when you go here, you get to do certain actions. You can gain power, which is gaining some of the power, which, like I said, is the currency of the game. You can play a card, which would be playing a card from your hand that you would have to spend power. Each card has a power cost to it. You can activate a card that you have already played. You can move an item or an ally. You can move a hero, and the heroes are like these nasty ones over here. You can vanquish, you can discard cards. The fate is the one where you basically pick up the 2 cards, but not from your own deck, because these are relevant to Prince John. When you take the fate action, you are going to select another player, like, hey, Wendy, and you are going to draw from Wendy's fate deck. You're going to draw 2, look at 1, find 1 to play on her board, if you will, and then the other one will get discarded. And so that's the fundamental thing you need to know, is that you're not working with this white deck here. Is not really for you to play with. It's for the other players to play with. And so that's what the fate is when you see that action, which I think we just did. We just saw somewhere right here. You take a fate action. But if they end up covering it up with a hero, Maid Marian, then you would not be able to do any of these things. So this is gain 1 power. I think down here gain 3 power. That's pretty nice because Prince John wants to start his turn with 20 power. That is how he wins the game. So on your turn, again, you move your piece. You take all of the actions that are available to you in any order that you want. So you could take the power. I assume you take the power first, then play a card, because then you would have some money, so to speak, to play the card. But you can do any of the actions. You can resolve them in any order that you want. We continue playing. Everyone will continue playing, taking power from here or throwing it back if they're using it until somebody hits their win objective. And again, I know I'm repeating myself. It is different for every single villain in the game. So here are some of the villains that you get with the game. You get the Queen of Hearts. If I lose my temper, you lose your head. Then there's Jafar. I really like Jafar. Finally, you will bow to me. And so there's Jafar. These are all in the base game. Maleficent. Now go with a curse and serve me well. You can play as her. Captain Hook, which I always really enjoy because it makes me think of the Hook movie, like the Robin Williams movie, but double the powder and shorten the fuse. And then Ursula from The Little Mermaid, the sea, and all its spoils bow to my power. And so they all open up and they have their own. All the boards are completely different as far as where all the abilities are. They're not just identical with printed, background difference. There is a difference between, this board and this one as far as where they are. So the game is incredibly asymmetrical in regards to you can just play with this guy this game, and then you could immediately play a second game with a new villain, and it would feel completely different. The game would just kind of play completely different because you would be using a different deck that would focus on a different aspect of the game. This deck focuses on gaining power or being able to make things cheaper to play so that you can keep the power that you do have, because you need power to win as my favorite, Prince John, who sucks on his thumb. That's just an overview of how you would play Disney's Villainous. So, Disney's Villainous. Let's talk about what I think about this game. Now, I'm going to hit the same note that I just hit a minute ago. The game is incredibly asymmetrical, as you just saw. Everyone has their own win condition. They have their own deck of cards. They have their own way of winning the game, okay? It's just called an asymmetrical game, as opposed to a symmetrical game where everyone at the table plays exactly the same and they all have the same gameplay and they all have the same win condition. So that's a big drawing point for me. I like the fact that you can pick different players, or villains, sorry. You can pick different villains to play. They come with their own unique deck, their own play style, so to speak, as far as what their cards do, how the symmetry works in their deck, how they win the game, what their objective is. Now, there are 2 expansions out that you can basically just add in to everything that I've just shown you, and they add so much more. There's more villains to play. I've played Villainous twice now, and I'm just looking forward to playing it more. I'm excited to play it. I've purchased the expansions. I've looked at the characters, the villains that you can play in the expansions. I'm excited to try. I want to play this one. I wonder how his cards work, or her cards work, or this one's cool. I loved that movie when I was growing up. That villain was awesome, or whatever. So it is exciting to play. It's a cool family game. It's got the Disney stamp on it, so it's going to have a lot of nostalgia factor. I enjoy everything really about the game. Now, the gameplay doesn't get very stale because, like I said, you're kind of doing something different. You're going to mix and match. I really wouldn't recommend playing this game with the same villain over and over and over and over. Now, you might want to play him or her once or twice just to kind of get a feel for it, kind of feel them out. The real call to this game is to just swap out, play different villains, try all the different combinations of objectives and decks and strategies and things like that. Huge selling point for me on that. The Disney IP on top of it doesn't hurt the game, doesn't drive the game super like way up there to the top of my list, but doesn't necessarily hurt the game either. Just the one little nit to pick would be the fact that you really do one thing on your turn. I know based on where you put your marker, you can do multiple things, but you're essentially kind of helping yourself or hurting your opponent or slowing your opponent down. Now, if you're playing with a full 4 players, now the game, like I said, plays up to 6 players. If you're playing with a larger count, you've got more people to keep in mind. I've only played this 1 versus 1, and so I've just kind of kept, okay, what's your win condition? Oh, you have to collect so many cards or whatever it may be. But if you're playing with 4, 5, 6 people, you know, everyone's going to be working on their own agendas, so to speak, to borrow Netrunner terminology, and you really can only do one or the other thing. So that makes the game incredibly simplistic, but it also makes the game incredibly frustrating, because it's like, I can't do both. I can't spend all of my turns trying to stop Wendy. Someone else has to help, you know. And the end game can get a little bit frustrating, but on top of that, it's a really solid game. After last review with the Haunted Mansion, which I suggest you guys check out, which was a huge, what I considered, swing and a miss by Prospero Hall, this one by Prospero Hall is good. It's fairly decent. It is not up there with some of the big ones that I've talked about, like Horrified or Pan Am, which is one that I really enjoy a lot. But this is good. This is good. Villainous is good. Get the expansions. There's 2 of them out there. Mix and match all the different ones. Find a movie that you like. Play as the villain to Hercules or to the Little Mermaid or, you know, whatever. And have fun with it. Just have fun with the game. It's going to have a lot of excitement, a lot of entertainment. I think that this Villainous is a pretty good buy. This is good for families. It's family friendly. The complexity's fairly low. But having said that, the base game that I've played just is awesome. It was really fun to play, and I'm looking forward to playing some more and trying out all the different villains and seeing how they work. So Prospero Hall, this one's quite good. I've got the expansions. I've got the base game right here. It's going to be staying with me. I'm going to be playing this some more. I'm probably going to bring this to a game night where I know that people like Disney and maybe they're not really in the mood for a game that takes 400 hours to play or 400 hours to even just teach the rules. This is a really good one. And so if you're looking for a game, Disney Villainous, I think you would enjoy it. So once again, my name is Andrew Davidson. Thank you everyone for checking out another As Per My Ability video, and as always, I will see each and every single one of you at the next video.